I was at an activist conference, and one of the leaders said, okay guys, why don't we do a green fire? And has anyone here heard of this expression before? Me neither. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? She says, we go around and we all share what got us into this movement. And I love it. Like, that's cool, right? And by the way, I did not make this format. It was in PowerPoint already. It's meant to be. I think there's a really good reason that fire is associated with passion. You can fuel it, you can suffocate it. It's a force that creates while it destroys, and it spreads. So, I don't know, I love this. My green fire, I find actually very difficult to articulate. It's like saying, like, why is your heart beat? You know, like, why am I involved with the environmental movement? I was born with a very deep relationship with the planet. I love metaphors. I get to find an appropriate metaphor to describe my relationship with the earth. It's not my home. It's not my mother. It's like, it's deeper than love for me. I can't even say my planet because my infers ownership. All I know is there's no planet B, and that's why I'm really drawn to this. And I think finding your green fire, like all of you, even if you can't articulate it, thinking about it is really critical. Do any of the finalists remember the arm lock for civil disobedience I showed you on Friday? Yeah, there it is. You put your arm through someone else's, and then you hold opposite wrists. Listen, guys, this is not going to break at your elbow, because your elbow's not just going to come apart. Where it's going to break is where you're holding yourself. And I feel like that's so critical to understand, is you have to make this relationship with you in this movement first, because that's what makes you a beautiful, like, powerful link in the chain. So this is me. I like holding signs, apparently. I'm a sophomore at Indiana University, which is a public research institution in the Midwest. We'll talk about the Midwest a little later. 40,000 students on the flagship. We have one of the top 25 business schools in the nation. So it's a good school to be at. I'm a psychology Bachelor of Science. I love psychology because I think it's a fringe science, potentially on the verge of another tipping point. And then on the other hand, it's working to alleviate suffering in some ways, and it's just really relevant. And then French. I just like French. I'm the Director of Events and Projects on the Student Sustainability Council, which is our United Nations of environmental groups on campus, and then I'm a member and silent member of several other organizations as well. Project Green Challenge. I was at the Student Sustainability Council meeting, and our beautiful Ellen Spurgeon came in and gave us a wonderful presentation on this. And I had my laptop at the meeting, and I was like, so I signed up like at the meeting, and just continued with it because I wanted to learn. These are some of my things. I learned how to use Photoshop during this, and I had a lot of fun. These are probably my proudest moments, just like Photoshop fun. And but what I learned, there are a lot of specific things that I began to apply, and I think a lot of that's in my final presentation. But more importantly, it was the infrastructure of Project Green Challenge that really taught me. People like positive focus. I'm going to talk a little more, the fire, it's creative and destructive, and I do think that they're equally legitimate forces. But this positive focus is really important. Education is really important because that's when it catches. That's when it is contagious. The competitive aspect is absolutely brilliant because while we'd like to say, like, oh, why can't you have intrinsic motivation, guys? It's like, we're evolutionarily made to be competitive. And when you give people incentives like that, you work with structures they already have and just make this really powerful. And then that contagion, it's really awesome. There's this psychological study, some of you have probably heard of it. If you have 10 people at a table, 9 of them are plants from your lab, people that you've hired. Put a bunch of lines on the screen, say which of these 2 are the same size. If everyone at the table says the wrong answer, the participant will almost always give the wrong answer too. But if one person at the table says the right one, they'll say the right one. I mean, like, what does that say? One person. Like, any of you, it's not, the power of one isn't like you can go out and do this yourself. The power of one because you can give other people the excuse to dissent. And as far as dissent goes, I can tell you a lot about that. Project Green Challenge had a twin. I signed up for 2 things at the same day, so it's kind of hard to say which one made which effect on me. But Project Green Challenge focuses a lot on the yes. Power Shift focuses a little more on the no, which I do think is legitimate. Focus points with Power. Power Shift is I should probably tell you what it is. Anyone heard of it before? It's awesome. If you haven't gone, go. Like, it literally, like Project Green Challenge, changed my life. They were perfect together. It's a youth environmental conference with workshops and different focuses. Some things that I saw were bringing this movement from the coast inward, and I know like this will bother a lot of people, but the movement's focused on the coasts. I think the problems are actually a lot of them focused inside the country, on the flyover states, where people just like honestly don't seem to care. You know, they're not fracking in New York City. I don't think they're not like removing mountaintops in San Francisco. So that was really powerful because I don't really like living in the Midwest, but this has given me a lot of meaning to it, and I love that. Building a green economy, again, positives. You know, working toward, you have to give price parity, you have to give options. Creating a community of environmentalism, which as we've seen is just like beautiful. Like the social media of Project Green Challenge was brilliant. I've loved meeting all these people. It's been absolutely inspiring. And then action. And if you have not seen Tim DeChristopher's Power Shift 2011 speech, I showed it to Jessa last night. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's powerful. You can give 10 minutes of your life, I think, to do that. But action is important. So here's one of the things that I'm doing. I just won a grant for $12,000. The first grant proposal that I ever wrote, so it was really exciting, to give reusable mugs to incoming freshmen when they sign on for our Green Dorm Room challenge project. And what's really awesome is, like, I followed a group with 3 people in suits with a PowerPoint and videos. I was wearing this minus the jacket, and I just had 2 cups. And I went and I had a dialogue with them. I said, like, which one do you think we should use? What do you think about this? And they gave us all the money they had for the grant. And they said at the gala when we got it, this project stood head and shoulders above the rest. And that just that really resonated with me. And the MLK Day weatherization, we're working with students and the community to weatherize homes. Sustain IU Week is an outreach week that we do in the spring. I'm going to be using a lot of stuff from Project Green Challenge, like literally like stuff from Project Green Challenge in it, because it's great resources. And I think I'm going to take a business class in sustainable law and policy next semester because I've seen how important it is. I joined a research lab about adaptive behavior and cognition. It deals with the psychology of consumption, how people are affected in making decisions, and it deals with real-world applications. And I just think that this type of use of psychology is going to prove to be very critical. I just want to leave you with one final image that this is one of my favorites, applying psychology philosophically to other things. By the way, this is me at the protest in DC. Everyone raise both of your arms like you're on a roller coaster. All right, put them down. Now just watch carefully. The neural functions during both of those 2 things, doing it and watching it, almost identical. So you're sitting by your tent in People's Square. You're chaining yourself to a coal plant. You're buying Replenish at the store. You're holding a sign. You're showing this little green flame somewhere where people can see it, and even if they look away, which they probably will, out of fear, out of shame, out of apathy, out of it being too anything, even if they look away, for the 1 second they were looking at you, they were holding it too.